Hey guys, this is Fierce, and today we're going to go over Captain's Mode and drafting. I want to start this by talking about how a lot of players put too much of an emphasis on the hero draft. I too used to be like this, where I cried about how important the hero draft is, but the hero draft is only a part of the process required to win a game. Let me show you an example. Let's say this line represents the very bottom of your skill level. This is the level you play at when everything is just going wrong for you. Now let's say things start to go in your favor. You're playing your favorite hero, you're playing against heroes you've played against many times, your focus is exceptionally good this game, etc. So when you're playing at the top of your potential, you can play at a skill level this high. Your skill level will fluctuate from game to game depending on a multitude of factors. In the same way, a team's overall skill level depends on many different factors in which the hero draft is only a part of it. Do you think the hero draft matters when you're playing against a team that's outside your league? You probably wouldn't be able to beat IG if they were playing all of their worst heroes and you played your most practiced and best strategy. But when two similarly skilled teams meet, the hero draft can make all the difference. An example being at the International 2, when IG faced off with eHome in the preliminaries. IG won the first game, but then eHome adapted and was able to overcome IG. Overall, IG is the better team, but when everything goes wrong for IG and everything goes right for eHome, even the underdog can take down the Titans. On to our next lesson, let's look at some of the abnormalities of the drafting styles of professional teams. Professional teams study the strategies and hero drafts of other professional teams. Consequently, you will sometimes see strange picks and bans. Pro teams will use their bans and picks to deny the other team from heroes and strategies they are good at. Basically, they are trying to force the other team to play outside their comfort zone while the players on their own team are playing heroes and a strategy they are comfortable with. So what does this all mean? What might be a legitimate draft for a professional team does not necessarily make it a legitimate draft for your team. Don't go blindly copying hero bans and picks that you see in professional play. On that note, let's go over how I draft heroes. The first thing you should understand when drafting heroes is that there are map design imbalances. The obvious one is that Roshan is located on the dire side of the map. The not so obvious is that certain heroes have an easier time on certain sides. Hard lane Beastmaster on the dire side can stack Ancients easily. Mid lane Shadow Fiend on the Radiant side have the easy camps to stack and raise. Radiant side has the easier hard lane because you can pull the dire hard camp. These are just some of the examples of map imbalances, so you should familiarize yourself with the rest of them. Next, let's talk about roles and lanes. There is only a certain amount of farm on the map. You need to prioritize which heroes get the most farm and which heroes get the least farm. You should also consider things such as having an initiator, jungler, supporter, carry, ganker, roamer, etc. For lanes, there are many different setups you can use, but to simplify things, let's go over the most common ones. The most common lane setup is to have a tri-lane with a solo mid and a side lane hero. The second most common lane setup is to have a dual lane in the safe lane with a solo mid, a jungler, and an off-lane hero. And one more setup that every team should be able to run is the dual lane mid. Now, as for strategy, don't just pick heroes for the sake of filling roles. There should be some sort of cohesion among the heroes you pick. Whether you decide to run a push strat or a strong team fight strat, there are many viable strategies in competitive play, and many of them are undiscovered. Be creative and abuse the great synergy of many different hero combinations. It's up to you to find the strategy that works for your team. And now let's talk about the difference between first pick and second pick. First pick gets to have the best hero in the pool, and second pick gets to have a hero that cannot get counterpicked. In Pro Dota, first pick has a slight advantage, but we're not quite at that skill level yet, so let's learn the basics first. So here we go, bans 1 through 5 and picks 1 through 5. In the first picking phase, I usually ban the heroes that I have a problem playing against. Here are the top 5 hero bans in competitive Dota, although I'm sure these heroes will change in the future. For the first slot pick, I obviously want to get one of the top heroes, and if there are none left, I like to pick a primary support hero. I want to use a second slot pick on a secondary support hero. This could be an initiator, a jungler, or just a hero that can complement your first pick. For my third slot pick, I like to pick a solo side lane hero, or sometimes I will use it to counterpick an enemy hero. This is one of the slots where I will begin to think about picking a hard carry or a solo mid hero. This is because I can use the second banning phase to ban heroes that would counterpick the hero I picked. I will also use the second banning phase to ban heroes that will complement the enemy lineup. For pick 4, I want to pick a hard carry or a solo mid hero, and this is to reduce counterpicking on your most important heroes. For my last pick, I will use it to round out my lineup with whatever role that has not yet been picked. Let's go over one more concept, which is picking in pairs. One time during the drafting stage, you can pick 2 heroes on the same turn. An example of a pair would be Wisp and Chaos Knight. These 2 heroes synergize well together and are commonly picked together. Another example of a pair is Magnus and Rubik. This hero pair isn't particularly legendary together, but it prevents your opponents from counterpicking you. The most important advice I can give you is to communicate with your team. Who can play which heroes and who can play which roles. Ask for input because you very might well have overlooked something. If you win or lose a game, more often than not, it is not the hero draft that is responsible. Remember that there are several factors that go into winning a game, and the hero draft is only a part of it. Let's go over one example draft. Here I'm drafting against IX Mike in IX Dota League, and our first bans are Phantom Lancer, Nyx Assassin, Bat Rider, and Keeper of the Light. Standard bans. So in the first picking phase, Mike first picks Lifestealer. I decide to do some light counterpicking by getting Shadow Demon and Magnus, as they can both cast spells on magic immune targets. Mike follows up with Lone Druid and Beastmaster. Lone Druid is a hero that commonly buys Radiance, which can then be used to make it difficult for Magnus to use his Blink Dagger. Beastmaster can use a cool board to also make it difficult for Magnus to use his Blink Dagger, and he also has a Hawk which can scout out Magnus's positioning. And of course there's Primal Roar to lock down the Magnus before reverse polarity. Also, you can do some interesting things with Infest on a Hawk or Spirit Bear. On my third pick, I decide to pick another strong hero which combos very well with Magnus, which is Darkseer. So now I have a support hero, an offlane hero, and a mid hero. On the other hand, Mike's lanes are not as predictable as mine. So in the second banning phase, Mike bans Bane, which is a good counter for Lifestealer, and the Enfeeble is also annoying for the Spirit Bear. I ban Rubik because I don't want him to steal reverse polarity. Mike bans Queen of Pain, I guess because she has a good follow-up for reverse polarity, but I already have a mid hero and a side lane hero, so I don't think it was necessary. I ban Storm Spirit because he combos pretty well with Lifestealer and because he can make it difficult for Magnus to get a good ultimate off. Mike bans Weaver and I finish my bans with Night Stalker because he can do very well against Magnus in the mid lane, and he has a long silence which can make it difficult for Magnus to get a good ultimate off. Basically, I spent the second banning phase trying to create an environment where it would be a relatively easy game for the Magnus. In the second picking phase, Mike picks up Lion. He needs a support hero, so he picked one who can stun lock the Magnus and nuke him down. I finally picked my carry hero, and I decided to go a full wombo combo strategy with Faceless Void. An empowered Faceless Void with a vacuum to set up a Chronosphere or a reverse polarity will be very difficult to deal with. For Mike's last pick, he decides to go with a tri-lane setup and picks Crystal Maiden. Now that Mike has finished his picks, it becomes fairly obvious what his lanes are going to be. Since Magnus needs the solo experience and farm, he needs to go middle. That means Mike should send Beastmaster middle if he is playing a standard matchup, because you don't really want to send a Beastmaster versus a tri-lane or a Darkseer matchup, because Lone Druid can do a better job in both matchups. So Lone Druid will go to a side lane, and the rest of the heroes will be in a tri-lane. It's just a matter of determining if it's going to be an aggressive tri-lane or a defensive tri-lane. Well, anyways, I last picked Jakiro and decided to send an aggressive tri-lane as I am on the Radiant side, and I'll have the Darkseer solo the easy lane. Overall, my lineup has 3 heroes who can lock down the Lifestealer through magic immunity, and I also have good AoE follow-up for a reverse polarity or a Chronosphere. Mike's lineup has a lot of disables and slows. The Beastmaster aura is definitely going to help out the Lifestealer and Lone Druid throughout the game, and they also have a dire side Roshan advantage. It'll be very easy for them to kill Roshan when they have a Spirit Bear to tank the damage while Beastmaster scouts with his Hawk. His lineup also has some decent split pushing with the Spirit Bear, especially if he gets a Radiance. Mike went a classic dual carry strategy with his carries being Lifestealer and Lone Druid, while I went more of a 4 protect 1 strategy. In the mid lane, Magnus and Beastmaster were both able to farm well against each other. At the 15-minute mark, Magnus has a 600 gold lead over the Beastmaster, which isn't that much. Bottom lane was a complete disaster for my team, and a great success for Mike's team. Mike was able to farm a 17-minute phase boost and Radiance on Lone Druid, and he was able to kill the Darkseer twice with the help of Beastmaster. Mike decides to send his tri-lane top to make a defensive tri-lane, and they completely failed. It's not that my tri-lane was a million times better than Dire's tri-lane. They just played the tri-lane wrong. And this double kill first blood got all of us level 2 while all of them are still level 1. There was absolutely no coming back from that, and with the help of Magnus, we were able to shut down 3 of Dire's heroes. Even though my team was leading in kills, the game was close and golden experience for about 14 to 15 minutes, but when my team got together to push, there wasn't much the Dire team can do. Here we are nearly 20 minutes in the game where we get a full wombo combo off. However, Mike was still able to use his bear to split push and stall the game, and they were still able to grab Roshan. Beastmaster ganked bottom several times, but IX Mike really didn't need the help. Since no one else on the Dire team was able to contest Faceless Void's farm, he went out of control and carried the game. If the tri-lane was played correctly and the Beastmaster focused on helping top instead, this could have very well been a different game. Remember that there are several factors that go into winning a game, and the hero draft is only a part of it. Thank you for watching, guys. In the future, I'll upload a few more example draft videos, so watch out for those. The 3rd International is coming up this August, and if you were lucky enough to get a ticket, don't forget to buy a mousepad to support your favorite team, and of course to support the videos I create. I'll provide the links in the description below. Don't forget that most markers will not show up on the black surface, so buy one of these metallic Sharpies that will.